The bridge was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair and stared at the main screen. What he saw should not be possible. Nothing could live in space without protection. No ship, no suit, nothing. But there it was, floating in the black void like it owned the universe. The creature was huge, as big as 3 buses put together. Its body was covered in dark armor that glowed with purple light. 6 massive arms stretched out from its body. Each arm ended in claws that looked sharp enough to cut through steel. The head was the worst part. Hundreds of eyes covered its face. Below the eyes, giant jaws opened and closed. Teeth lined every jaw. Each tooth was bigger than a human hand. Jake felt cold sweat on his forehead. He had been a space captain for 10 years. He had seen many alien species. Some were friendly, some were not. But nothing like this. This thing looked like death itself. Sophie Carter was the ship's scientist. She studied alien life forms. Her hand shook as she checked her screens. Her voice was barely a whisper when she spoke. "Captain, that thing is alive. It is breathing. My scans say it has been alive for 3,000 years. 3,000 years, sir. That is impossible." Jake gripped the arms of his chair. His knuckles turned white. 3,000 years. Humans had only been in space for 50 years. This creature was ancient. It had been floating out here alone in the dark for longer than human civilization had existed. Greg Palmer ran the communication system. He was young, only 25 years old. This was his first deep space mission. His face had gone pale. He looked at Jake with wide eyes. "Sir, I am getting something strange. It is not radio. It is not any signal I know. It is like the thing is talking directly into my head. It wants to communicate." Before Jake could answer, he felt it. A pressure inside his mind, like someone was pushing thoughts into his brain. It did not hurt, but it was uncomfortable. Wrong. Like standing in a room that was too small. The feeling grew stronger and stronger until Jake thought he might scream. Then came the message. It was not words. Not exactly. It was pure meaning. Pure emotion. Fear, anger, hunger. And underneath it all, a simple command. Leave. This is my territory. You are food. Jake took a deep breath. He looked at Henry Cole. Henry was the weapons officer. He was a big man with steady hands. But even Henry looked worried. "Can we fight it?" Jake asked. Henry shook his head slowly. "No, sir, our weapons would barely scratch that armor. And it moves fast. Faster than anything I have ever seen. If we fight, we die." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. He was responsible for 32 people on this ship. 32 lives that depended on him making the right choice. They could run. Maybe. But the creature would probably catch them. They could fight. But that would be suicide. That left only one option. "Open a channel," Jake said. "I want to talk to it." Sophie turned around fast. "Captain, that is crazy. We do not know what this thing can do. What if it attacks? Then we were dead anyway," Jake said. "Running won't work. Fighting won't work, so we talk." "Greg, open the channel." Greg hesitated. His finger hovered over the button. Then he pressed it. The screen changed. Now it showed 2 images. The creature on one side, Jake's face on the other side so the creature could see him. Jake stood up. He walked to the screen. He made himself stand tall, made himself look brave even though his heart was racing. He looked at the creature's many eyes and spoke clearly. "I am Captain Jake Morrison. I command this human ship. We mean you no harm. We did not know this was your space. We only want to pass through safely." The creature stopped moving. It just floated there, still as death. Seconds passed. Then minutes. The silence stretched out until Jake thought he might break. Then the pressure in his mind returned. Stronger this time. Much stronger. Human, I know this word. I have hunted humans before. Long ago. You are weak. Your bodies break easily. You die quickly. Jake felt fear twist in his stomach, but he did not let it show on his face. He kept his voice steady and strong. "Maybe we are weak compared to you, but we are smart. We learn, we adapt, we survive." The creature's jaws clicked together. It might have been laughing. The sound echoed in Jake's mind. "Survive? You think you can survive me? I am Krazoth. I am the eternal hunter. I am death that walks between the stars. I have destroyed entire civilizations. I have killed millions. What makes you different from all the others who tried to talk their way past me?" Jake's mind worked fast. He needed to say something that would make this creature pause. Something unexpected. Then it came to him, a memory from when he was young, before he joined the space fleet. He remembered an old soldier who had come back from war. The man had looked just like this creature felt, dangerous, angry, but most of all, alone. Because I know what you really are, Krazoth. You are not just a hunter. You are lonely. The pressure in Jake's mind vanished, just disappeared. For a moment, there was nothing. Then Jake felt something that shocked him. The creature was surprised, and under that surprise was pain. Old pain, deep pain. The crew held their breath. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They all waited to see if their captain had just saved them or doomed them all. Finally, after what felt like forever, Krazoth spoke again. This time the voice in Jake's mind was different, quieter, uncertain. How did you know? Jake relaxed just a little. He had been right. This was not just a mindless monster. This was a thinking being, a feeling being, one that was in pain. I have seen that look before, Jake said softly. In soldiers who fought too long, in people who lost everyone they loved. You have that same feeling, that same emptiness, silence again, but this time it was different. Not threatening, more like Krazoth was thinking, remembering. You speak truth, human. I am alone. I have been alone for more years than you can imagine. Everyone I knew is dead. Everything I loved is gone. There is only hunting now, only survival. That is all I have left. Jake took a step closer to the screen. He looked right at those hundreds of eyes. It does not have to be that way. You could have more. If you wanted it, what do you mean? Talk to me, Jake said. Tell me your story. Not as a hunter to prey, but as one thinking being to another. Let me understand. Krazoth went very still. Jake could feel the creature thinking, weighing options, making a choice. When it finally spoke, there was something new in its mental voice. Hope. Small and fragile, but there. Very well, human. I will tell you. But know this, if you mock me, I will destroy you. If you pity me, I will destroy you. Do you understand? I understand. Then listen, Captain Jake Morrison. Listen to the story of how I became what I am. And perhaps you will understand why I cannot simply let you pass. Krazoth began to share its memories. Jake felt images flowing into his mind, pictures from thousands of years ago. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. I was not always alone, the creature said. Once I had a family, a swarm. There were dozens of us. We were born from a star that died and became something new. We did not hunt for fun. We hunted to live, to eat, to survive. We kept balance in the galaxy. When a species grew too large and threatened others, we stopped them. We were necessary. We had a purpose. Jake saw them in his mind. Dozens of creatures like Krazoth. They moved together through space. Their purple lights created patterns, beautiful dancing patterns. They were happy. They belonged together. What happened to them? Jake asked quietly. War, Krazoth said. The word came with a wave of pain so strong that Jake almost cried out. A great civilization decided we were too dangerous. They called themselves the Architects. They believed they should rule the entire galaxy. They could not accept beings they could not control, so they decided to destroy us. Jake saw it happen through Krazoth's memories. Giant ships appeared, thousands of them. They carried weapons made specifically to kill Krazoth's kind, weapons that could cut through their armor, poison that attacked their bodies, machines that blocked their ability to talk to each other. The battle was horrible. Krazoth's family fought back. They were strong. They were fast. But there were too many enemies. Too many weapons. One by one they fell. Krazoth watched its mate die. Its children die. Its brothers and sisters die. All of them killed by the Architects. When it was over, Krazoth was the only one left. The last of its kind. Floating in space, surrounded by the bodies of everyone it had ever loved. The Architects left thinking they had won. But they were wrong. I swore I would never be weak again, Krazoth continued. Its mental voice was hard now. Angry. I became exactly what they feared. I hunted them across 100 star systems. I destroyed their ships. I shattered their worlds. I made sure they knew what it felt like to be helpless. To watch everything they loved burn. Jake felt his throat tighten. This was not just a monster. This was a victim. Someone who had lost everything and been twisted by grief and rage into something dark. What did you do after the architects were gone? Jake asked. I kept hunting, Krazoth said. What else was there? I had no family, no home, no purpose except to survive. So I wandered the galaxy. I fed on stars. I fought anyone who challenged me. Centuries passed. Then thousands of years. I forgot what it was like to be anything other than a predator. I forgot what it felt like to care about something. Jake stepped closer to the screen. His crew watched him with worried eyes. But he ignored them. All his focus was on the ancient being in front of him. But you remember now, Jake said softly. Don't you? That is why you stopped. That is why you warned us instead of just attacking. Part of you remembers what it was like to be more than a hunter. The pressure in Jake's mind flickered. Krazoth was confused. Like it was trying to understand a concept it had forgotten long ago. I do not understand. Why do you care? I am a killer. I have destroyed entire worlds. I have ended billions of lives. Why would you want to help something like me? Jake took a deep breath. He thought about his answer carefully. This was important. Maybe the most important thing he would ever say. Because everyone deserves a second chance. Because you did terrible things, yes. But you did them because you were hurt. Because you were alone. That does not make it right, but it means you can change. You can be something different. Sophie spoke up from her station. Her voice was gentle but firm. Krazoth, our scans show you are incredible. You can do things we cannot even imagine. You could do so much good. You could explore. You could discover. You could protect worlds instead of destroying them. Greg added his own thoughts. You would not have to be alone anymore. Humans love to learn. If you shared your knowledge, your experiences, people would welcome you. You could belong again. Krazoth was silent for a long time. Jake could feel the creature struggling with itself, hope fighting against fear, the desire for connection fighting against the terror of being hurt again. You ask me to trust you, Krazoth finally said, to believe that humans will accept me. But I have seen the worst that civilizations can do. I know how fast peace becomes war, how quickly fear becomes hatred. What happens when your people decide I am too dangerous, when they see me as a monster that must be destroyed? Jake met the creature's gaze without flinching. His voice was strong and sure. Then I will stand between you and them. I will protect you. I will remind them that you chose to be better. And if they still come after you, they will have to go through me first. The bridge went completely silent. Henry turned in his chair. His face showed shock and respect. Captain, are you serious? Jake nodded. His eyes stayed on Krazoth, completely serious. Every being deserves a chance at redemption. Even one as powerful as you, Krazoth. Krazoth began to move, slowly, carefully. It floated closer to the ship. Close enough that Jake could see every detail. Every scar on its ancient armor. Every mark from battles fought long ago. The creature's hundreds of eyes focused on Jake. The pressure in his mind softened into something that might have been gratitude. You would do this for me? Risk your career? Maybe your life? For a creature you just met? Yes, Jake said simply. Because it is the right thing to do. Because you deserve better than loneliness and pain. And because I believe that if our positions were reversed, you would do the same for me. Krazoth's jaws opened and closed slowly. Jake felt a wave of emotion through their connection. Wonder mixed with disbelief. Like the creature could not quite believe someone would show it such kindness. Then I accept, Captain Jake Morrison. I will try. I will try to be more than the monster I became. But I make no promises. 3,000 years of violence and solitude are not easily overcome. Jake smiled for the first time since this encounter began. That is all anyone can ask. One step at a time, Krazoth. One choice at a time. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to try. The ancient predator moved even closer. Its purple lights pulsed in a rhythm that seemed almost peaceful. For the first time in 3,000 years, Krazoth felt something other than rage and emptiness. It felt hope. Sophie turned to Jake with tears in her eyes. Captain, do you realize what just happened? You just made first contact with one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and instead of fighting, you made a friend. Jake nodded slowly. He was still trying to process it himself. What had started as a potential disaster had become something extraordinary, something that might change everything. What do we do now? Henry asked. Now, Jake said, we give Krazoth a chance to learn what it means to be part of something again. We show it that there is more to life than survival. We help it heal. And if Command has a problem with that, Greg asked nervously, then they can come out here and tell me themselves, Jake said firmly. But until then, Krazoth is under our protection. It is part of this crew now, and we take care of our own. The crew nodded. They were scared. Who wouldn't be? But they trusted their captain. And somehow they were starting to trust the ancient creature floating outside their ship. Krazoth watched them through the viewscreen. It listened to their words. And for the first time in millennia, it felt like maybe, just maybe, it had found something worth living for. 3 weeks passed. The ship continued its journey through space. But now it was not alone. Krazoth stayed close, always about 200 meters away, floating in the darkness like a silent guardian. During those weeks, the crew learned many things. They learned that Krazoth could bend gravity itself. That was how it moved so fast through space. They learned it did not eat meat or plants. It fed on energy from stars, like a living solar panel that absorbed radiation directly. Most surprising of all, they learned that Krazoth had a sense of humor. It was dark and sarcastic after being alone for so long, but it was there. The creature could laugh, could joke, could feel joy. Sophie became Krazoth's main contact besides Jake. She spent hours each day talking with it. They discussed biology, ancient civilizations, the nature of life and consciousness. Sophie was fascinated. Krazoth seemed happy to finally have someone to talk to. On this particular day, Sophie floated in the observation room. She watched through the window as Krazoth performed what looked like a dance. Its 6 arms moved in graceful patterns. The purple lights on its armor left glowing trails. It was beautiful. It is beautiful when it wants to be, Sophie said to Jake, who had just entered the room. Jake nodded. Makes you wonder how many other species we have misunderstood. How many beings we called monsters simply because we did not try to understand them. Before Sophie could answer, Greg's voice came through the speakers. Captain, you need to come to the bridge right now. We have incoming ships, and they are hostile. Jake and Sophie ran to the bridge. The crew was at their stations. Everyone looked tense. On the screen were 3 ships. They were painted black and red. Jake recognized the markings immediately. Pirates, the Talkari Collective. They were known for being ruthless and well-armed. Henry looked up from his weapons console. His face was grim. They are calling us, Captain. Audio only. Put them through, Jake said. A harsh voice filled the bridge. The words were broken and hard to understand. Human ship. You have valuable cargo and technology. Give up now and we let you leave in escape pods. Fight and we take everything by force. You have 2 minutes. Jake felt his jaw tighten. This was bad. The ship was not built for combat. It was an exploration vessel. Science equipment, not weapons. Against 3 pirate ships, they had almost no chance. Henry, what are our options? Jake asked. Not good, sir. We could try to run. But they are faster. They would catch us in minutes. Our weapons might damage 1 ship, but the other 2 would destroy us. Greg spoke up. His voice carried hope. Captain, what about Krazoth? If it helped us, those pirates would not stand a chance. Jake hesitated. This was exactly what he had feared. If he asked Krazoth to fight, would that push the creature back to its old ways? Would it make Krazoth into a weapon again, like the architects had tried to do? Sophie seemed to read his thoughts. She spoke gently but firmly. Captain, there is a difference between being a mindless killer and defending people who cannot defend themselves. Krazoth knows that. At least give it the choice. Jake took a deep breath. She was right. He should at least ask, Greg, open a private channel to Krazoth. The pressure appeared in Jake's mind almost instantly. Krazoth sounded alert and concerned. I know about the threat, Captain. I have been listening to your communications. You face a difficult choice. Jake formed his thoughts carefully. I do not want to ask this of you, Krazoth. I know violence goes against what you have been trying to become, but my crew is in danger. I do not know if we can survive without your help. There was a moment of silence. Then Jake felt something surprising. Krazoth was not angry, not resentful. The creature seemed almost relieved. You misunderstand, Captain. There is no honor in mindless killing, in hunting those who pose no threat. But there is great honor in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The architects tried to make me a weapon for conquest. You are asking me to be a shield for the innocent. That is a purpose I can embrace. Jake felt relief wash over him. Thank you, Krazoth. Thank you for being willing to help. The creature's mental voice took on a hint of dark humor. Besides, these pirates chose the wrong ship to threaten. It has been 3,000 years since I reminded the galaxy why my kind were called the Eternal Hunters. Perhaps it is time for a small demonstration. Before Jake could respond, Krazoth moved. One moment it was floating peacefully. The next moment it was shooting toward the pirate ships faster than the eye could follow. The crew's sensors struggled to track it. The first pirate ship never had a chance. Krazoth hit it like a missile. Its claws tore through the hull easily. But the creature was careful. Very careful. It targeted only the weapons and engines. It left the crew sections intact. The pirates would live. The second ship tried to run. It engaged its faster-than-light drive. But Krazoth simply bent gravity around it. The drive could not work. Within seconds, that ship was disabled too. Crew alive. Ship unable to fight or flee. The third ship saw what happened to the others. It immediately started broadcasting surrender signals. Krazoth paused. It hovered between the ship and the remaining pirate vessel, like it was waiting for orders. Henry stared at his console with wide eyes. Sir, that was incredible. 2 ships disabled in under 30 seconds. And nobody died, Jake smiled. Greg, tell the third ship they can leave. But they need to report this to their leaders. Tell them that if the Talkari Collective ever threatens innocent ships again, they will answer to Krazoth. Greg grinned as he sent the message. Minutes later, the third pirate ship jumped away at light speed. It left its disabled companions behind. Krazoth returned to its usual position beside the ship. Jake felt the creature's presence in his mind again. How did I do, Captain? Jake's smile widened. You were perfect, Krazoth. You saved lives today. Both ours and theirs. That is something to be proud of. The ancient predator's response carried warmth that Jake had never felt from it before. Perhaps there is hope for me after all. Perhaps I can be more than what I was. Thank you for giving me this chance, Captain. Sophie wiped tears from her eyes. Captain, do you realize what this means? Krazoth just proved it can use its power for good. It can choose restraint over destruction. Jake nodded. This was bigger than just stopping pirates. This was proof that change was possible, that even the most dangerous being in the galaxy could choose a better path. Henry turned to face Jake. Sir, what do we do about the disabled ships? They are helpless out here. Send a distress signal on their behalf, Jake said. Make sure rescue ships know where to find them. We may not agree with their choices, but we will not leave them to die. Greg sent the signal. Then he looked at Jake with respect. Captain, you and Krazoth make a good team. You both believe in second chances. Jake glanced at the ancient creature floating outside. Its purple lights pulsed in a steady, peaceful rhythm. Yes, he thought. Maybe that was what the galaxy needed. Not more weapons, not more fighting, but more understanding, more compassion, more second chances. The crew slowly relaxed. The danger had passed, and they had learned something important. Krazoth was not just powerful. It was wise, it was careful, and it was choosing to be better. That night, as the ship continued its journey, Jake stood alone in the observation room. He looked out at the stars and at the ancient being keeping pace beside them. And he smiled, because today they had not just survived. They had shown the galaxy something new, something hopeful. They had shown that even the strongest predator could choose to protect instead of destroy. 2 months had passed since the pirate attack. Word was spreading across the galaxy, stories about the human captain who befriended the legendary Krazoth. Some people called Jake a fool. Others called him a hero. But everyone agreed that what he had done was unprecedented. The ship continued its exploration mission. But now it had a guardian. Krazoth traveled with them everywhere. Together they made discoveries that changed everything humans thought they knew about life in space. More importantly, they saved lives. 4 times now they had encountered dangerous situations. Each time Krazoth had helped. The ancient creature used its power with precision and care. It proved again and again that it could be a protector instead of a predator. On this evening, Jake stood in the observation room. He watched Krazoth perform its nightly ritual. The creature would drift away from the ship. It would position itself between the ship and the nearest star. Then it would stretch out all 6 arms fully. The purple lights on its armor would glow brilliantly as it absorbed energy from the star. It was like watching a living work of art. Sophie joined him at the window. She carried 2 cups of coffee. I still cannot believe how much has changed, she said. 2 months ago, Krazoth was the most feared being in this sector. Now there are alien children who draw pictures of it as their favorite hero. Jake took the coffee and smiled. It deserves it. Krazoth has worked hard to overcome thousands of years of pain and loneliness. That takes more courage than most people will ever understand. Do you think it is happy? Sophie asked quietly. Before Jake could answer, Krazoth's presence entered his mind. The feeling carried contentment, peace, emotions the creature rarely showed. I am more than happy, Captain. I am at peace. For the first time in 3,000 years, I have purpose beyond survival. I have friends. I have a place in this galaxy that does not require me to be a monster. Jake spoke aloud so Sophie could hear his response. You were never a monster, Krazoth. You were a survivor who did what you had to do. But now you get to be something more. Something better. Krazoth finished feeding and drifted back toward the ship. Through the window, Jake could see its hundreds of eyes focusing on the observation room. On him and Sophie. I have been thinking, Captain, about what comes next. I have spent so long wandering alone, but now I find myself reluctant to leave your side. This crew, this ship, they have become precious to me. A new family, perhaps. Not in biology, but in spirit. Sophie's eyes widened. Are you saying you want to stay with us permanently? If you will have me. I know my presence complicates things. Not everyone in the galaxy is pleased that I have allied with humanity. There are those who still see me as a threat that must be eliminated. Jake felt a surge of protectiveness. The same emotion he had felt during their first encounter. When he had promised to stand between Krazoth and anyone who would harm it. Let them come. They will learn what the pirates learned. You are under our protection just as we are under yours. We are family now, Krazoth, and family sticks together. The creature's presence in Jake's mind swelled with intense emotion. Gratitude, affection, loyalty, and beneath it all, a profound sense of belonging that Krazoth had not felt since before the architects destroyed its swarm. Family. Yes, I like that word very much. Thank you, Captain Jake Morrison. Thank you for seeing me as more than a monster. Thank you for giving me a reason to be better. Greg's voice came through the speakers, interrupting the moment. Captain, we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth. It is from Admiral Karen Stevens. She wants to talk in real time. Jake and Sophie exchanged glances. Admiral Stevens was the head of the exploration fleet. She rarely made personal calls unless something big was happening. Put her through to my office. I will take it there, Jake said. Minutes later, Jake sat in his private office. On his screen was the Admiral's stern face. She was an older woman. Her hair was gray, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. Captain Morrison, I have been following your reports with great interest. The situation with Krazoth is quite remarkable. Thank you, Admiral. I hope we have not caused too much controversy back home. Admiral Stevens smiled slightly. Controversy would be putting it mildly. Half the government wants to give you a medal. The other half wants to recall you for a psychiatric evaluation. But that is not why I am calling. I have a proposal for you and your new companion. Jake leaned forward. What kind of proposal? We are creating a new division within the exploration fleet. A rapid response team, one that can handle situations beyond the capabilities of standard vessels. Hostile alien encounters, natural disasters, rescue operations in dangerous territory. We need people who can think creatively and who have access to extraordinary resources. The Admiral paused. Her expression became more serious. We want you to lead that team, Captain Morrison. You and your crew would get a new ship, state-of-the-art technology, authority to operate independently when necessary. And if Krazoth is willing, we would formally recognize it as a member of your crew. With all the rights and protections that includes, Jake felt his heart racing. This was everything he could have hoped for. A chance to continue exploring, to help people, to prove that cooperation between species was possible, even the most unlikely species. I need to discuss this with my crew and with Krazoth, but speaking for myself, Admiral, I would be honored to accept. Admiral Stevens nodded. Take your time. But not too much time. The galaxy is dangerous, Captain. It needs more people like you. People who understand that strength comes not just from weapons, but from compassion and the willingness to see the best in others. After the call ended, Jake returned to the observation room. He found not just Sophie there, but the entire bridge crew. They had all heard the Admiral's proposal through the ship's communication system. Their faces showed excitement and anticipation. Greg was the first to speak. "So, Captain, are we going to do this?" Jake looked at each of them. Sophie, with her curiosity and gentle heart. Henry, whose tactical skills were matched by his loyalty. Greg, whose communication abilities had helped bridge gaps between humans and aliens. They were more than crew. They were family, that depends. This would not be safe. We would be putting ourselves in danger regularly. "So I need to know, are you all willing to take that risk?" Sophie stepped forward. Her expression was determined. "We have been taking risks since the day we left Earth, Captain. This is just a different kind of adventure." Henry nodded in agreement. "Besides, with Krazoth watching our backs, we will have the best protection in the galaxy." As if summoned, Krazoth's presence filled Jake's mind. This time, the ancient creature allowed the entire crew to feel its thoughts through a shared connection. "I have spent 3,000 years alone, wandering the void with no purpose beyond survival. You have given me something I thought I had lost forever. Hope, family, a reason to live rather than simply exist. I would be honored to stand with you. To protect those who cannot protect themselves. To prove that even the darkest past can lead to a brighter future." The crew stood together in the observation room. They watched as Krazoth's purple lights pulsed in what they recognized as its version of a smile. In that moment, Jake knew they had found something precious. Not just an ally, not just a friend, but hope for a galaxy where differences could be bridges instead of barriers. Jake raised his hand in a salute, both to his crew and to the magnificent being floating outside. "Then let us do this. Let us show the galaxy what is possible when we choose understanding over fear. When we give second chances to those who deserve them. When we stand together against whatever challenges come our way." The response from his crew was immediate and enthusiastic. And from Krazoth came a sensation of gratitude, loyalty, and joy. The ancient predator had finally found its place. Not as a weapon, not as a monster, but as a guardian, a protector, a member of a family that had chosen to accept it for who it could become. 3 months later, everything was different. The crew had returned to Earth briefly. There had been meetings, interviews, medical evaluations. Some government officials were suspicious. They questioned whether Krazoth could truly be trusted, but Admiral Stevens stood firm. She believed in Jake and his crew. She believed in giving Krazoth a chance. The new ship was called Phoenix. It was beautiful, larger than their old vessel, more advanced. It had been designed specifically to accommodate both human crew and their unusual companion. There were powerful engines, state-of-the-art weapons, and most importantly, enhanced communication systems that made it easier for Krazoth to interface with the crew. Today was launch day. Jake stood on the bridge of the Phoenix. His crew was at their stations. They all wore new uniforms, dark blue with silver trim. On the shoulder patch was an image of a phoenix rising from flames, and next to it a stylized representation of Krazoth. The two symbols together represented their mission: rebirth, protection, hope. Through the main view screen, Jake could see Earth below. Beautiful blue and green, white clouds swirling across continents. It was home. But it was also the beginning of something new. Krazoth floated beside the ship, waiting. The ancient creature had been welcomed by humanity, though not everyone was happy about it. There had been protests, debates, fear, but there had also been wonder, curiosity, and slowly, acceptance. Admiral Stevens's face appeared on the screen. She was speaking from command headquarters on Earth. "Captain Morrison, your mission is simple but profound. Explore the unknown, help those in need, and prove that cooperation is possible, even between the most unlikely partners. The galaxy is watching. Show them what humanity stands for. Show them what Krazoth has become. Good luck, Phoenix. We are all proud of you," Jake saluted. "Thank you, Admiral. We will not let you down." The screen went dark. Jake turned to his crew. Henry at weapons, Sophie at science, Greg at communications, and others at their stations. All of them ready. All of them committed. "Are we ready?" Jake asked. The crew responded as one. "Ready, Captain." Jake felt Krazoth's presence in his mind. The creature's mental voice was strong and certain. "I am ready as well, Captain. For 3,000 years I had no purpose, no direction, no reason to continue except stubbornness. But now I have all of that. I have family. I have meaning. Let us show the galaxy what is possible. Jake smiled. Then let us begin. Engage faster than light drive. The Phoenix hummed with power. The stars outside stretched and blurred. In moments they were moving faster than light, racing into the unknown, and beside them, matching their speed effortlessly, was Krazoth, the ancient guardian, the strongest predator in the galaxy, now choosing to protect instead of destroy. Their first mission came within a week. A distress signal from a mining colony. The message was frantic, desperate. A massive solar flare was about to hit their planet. They did not have time to evacuate. Thousands of people would die. The Phoenix arrived at maximum speed, but even with their advanced technology, they could not shield an entire planet. The solar flare was too powerful, too big. Jake felt despair creeping in. They had come so far, been given this chance, and now they would fail their first real test. Then Krazoth spoke in his mind. I can help. I can absorb solar radiation. It is how I feed. But I have never tried to absorb this much. It might kill me. Jake felt his heart stop. No, we will find another way. I will not risk your life. There is no other way, Krazoth said gently. And this is what I want. This is what I choose. For 3,000 years I took life. Let me spend whatever time I have left saving it instead. Let me be remembered not as a monster but as a hero. Before Jake could argue, Krazoth moved. The creature positioned itself between the planet and the incoming solar flare. It stretched out all 6 arms. Its armor began to glow, brighter and brighter. Purple light became white light, became blinding. The crew watched in awe and terror. Sophie was crying. Henry had his hands clenched into fists. Greg was whispering prayers under his breath. They all felt helpless, unable to do anything but watch the solar flare hit. Unimaginable energy, enough to sterilize an entire world. But Krazoth absorbed it, drew it in. The creature's body shook. Its armor cracked in places. Pain radiated through its mental connection. But it did not move, did not flee. It held position and took the full force of the flare. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the flare ended. The energy dissipated, and Krazoth was still there. Still alive, but barely. The creature drifted motionless. Its lights were dim. Its armor was scarred and damaged. Jake was out of his chair immediately. Medical team, prepare everything we have. Sophie, can we bring it into the cargo bay? Sophie worked her controls frantically. Yes, but Captain, I do not know if we can help. We do not understand its biology well enough. Then we learn fast, Jake said firmly. That creature just saved thousands of lives. I will not let it die alone in the dark. They brought Krazoth into the largest cargo bay. The creature was huge. It barely fit. Medical staff surrounded it, scanners, monitors, equipment they hoped might help. But nobody really knew what to do. Jake knelt beside Krazoth's massive head. He placed his hand on the damaged armor. It was hot, burning hot, but he did not pull away. Stay with us, Jake said aloud. Do not give up. You are not alone anymore. We are here. Your family is here. Krazoth's presence in his mind was weak, fading. But there. I am not afraid, the creature whispered mentally. I saved them. I actually saved them. That is enough. That is more than enough. It is not enough for us, Jake said fiercely. You are family. And we do not give up on family. Fight, Krazoth. Fight to live, please. The crew gathered around. All of them. Everyone on the ship. They held hands. They focused their thoughts. Humans were not psychic like Krazoth, but maybe their emotions could reach it. Maybe their love and hope could help. Hours passed. Sophie worked tirelessly, analyzing Krazoth's biology. She discovered that the creature needed a specific type of radiation to heal, a frequency they could generate with the ship's reactors. It was risky, but it was a chance. They tried it, carefully directing healing radiation at Krazoth's damaged areas. At first nothing happened. Then slowly, incredibly slowly, the creature's lights began to pulse again. Dim but steady, life returning. It took 3 days. 3 days of constant care. 3 days of the crew refusing to leave, refusing to give up. And finally Krazoth spoke again in Jake's mind. Stronger now, you saved me. I was ready to die, content to die, but you would not let me. You are stubborn humans. Jake laughed through his tears. Yes, we are very stubborn, especially when it comes to protecting our family. Family, Krazoth repeated. Yes, that is what you are. What you all are. I understand now. This is what I was missing for 3,000 years. This is what I needed. Connection, purpose, love. The crew cheered, hugged each other, cried with relief, and Krazoth, the ancient predator, the eternal hunter, felt something it had not felt since before the architects destroyed its swarm. It felt complete. It felt home. 2 weeks later, Krazoth was fully healed, stronger than ever, and the Phoenix continued its mission, exploring, helping, saving lives across the galaxy. And everywhere they went, the story spread. The story of the human captain and the ancient predator, the story of redemption and hope. The story that proved anyone could change if given the chance. That was why the galaxy's strongest predator bowed to a human. Not because it was forced, not because it was defeated, but because it chose to. Because in Jake Morrison and his crew, Krazoth found what it had been searching for across millennia. It found family. It found purpose. It found home. 6 months had passed since that first mission. The Phoenix and its crew had become legendary. Wherever they went, they brought hope. They stopped conflicts. They rescued trapped miners from collapsing asteroids. They protected small colonies from natural disasters. And always Krazoth was there. The guardian. The protector. But today was special. Today they were returning to where it all began. The empty sector of space where Jake and Krazoth had first met. Where a scared human captain had chosen compassion over fear. Where an ancient predator had chosen hope over despair. Jake stood in the observation room. Krazoth floated outside in its usual position. The purple lights on its armor pulsed steadily, peacefully. The scars from the solar flare had healed, leaving new patterns in the ancient armor, battle scars that told a story of sacrifice and heroism. "Why did you want to come back here?" Jake asked mentally. Krazoth's response was thoughtful, quiet. "Because this is where I was reborn, not in body but in spirit. This is where I stopped being the eternal hunter and became something new. I wanted to see this place again. To remember. To honor what you gave me." Jake felt emotion tighten his throat. "What I gave you? Krazoth, you gave us just as much. You showed us that even the most damaged soul can heal, that even the most feared being can choose kindness. You gave us hope." The ancient creature was silent for a moment. Then it shared a memory with Jake. Not from thousands of years ago, but from 6 months ago. From their first meeting. Jake saw himself through Krazoth's eyes, a small human standing tall, facing an impossible threat with nothing but words and courage, choosing to see past the monster to the being underneath. "That moment changed everything for me," Krazoth said. "For 3,000 years, beings had 2 reactions when they saw me, fear or aggression. But you looked at me and saw loneliness, saw pain, saw something worth saving. Nobody had done that since the architects killed my family. You reminded me that I was more than my past, more than my rage." Sophie entered the observation room. She carried a tablet with the latest mission reports. But when she saw Jake and Krazoth clearly having a private moment, she started to leave. "No, stay," Jake said. "Krazoth, share with her too. Let her feel what you are feeling." The presence expanded. Now both Jake and Sophie could feel Krazoth's emotions. The gratitude, the peace, the love. Sophie wiped tears from her eyes. "I have studied alien life my whole career, but I never imagined I would meet someone like you, Krazoth. Someone who has seen so much, lived so long, and still found the strength to change. You inspire me. You inspire all of us. I inspire you," Krazoth said with something like wonder. "How strange. How beautiful. Once entire civilizations trembled at my name. Now I inspire hope instead of terror. I prefer this. I prefer this so much more." Greg's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, we are receiving multiple distress signals. There is a situation developing in the Keltar system. Multiple hostile ships attacking a peaceful trade convoy. They are requesting emergency assistance." Jake and Sophie rushed to the bridge. The screen showed the tactical situation. 20 small trade ships surrounded by 8 large warships. Pirates again, but more organized this time. More dangerous, Henry studied the readouts. "Captain, those are military-grade vessels, not random pirates. Someone is backing them. This could be a trap." Jake considered the situation. Henry was right. This felt different, more planned, but those trade ships held families, children, innocent people who would die if help did not come. "Krazoth, what do you think?" Jake asked mentally. The creature's response was immediate. It is definitely a trap. They know about us, about me. They are hoping to test our capabilities. Perhaps hoping to find a weakness. But that does not change the fact that innocent people need help. We should go. But carefully, Jake made his decision. Set course for the Keltar system. Maximum speed. Henry, prepare all weapons. Sophie, scan for any hidden ships or unusual energy signatures. Everyone stay alert. If this is a trap, we need to be ready. The Phoenix jumped to light speed. Krazoth kept pace effortlessly beside them. Within minutes, they arrived at the Keltar system. The situation was exactly as reported. Trade ships under attack. Warships circling like predators. But Sophie's scans revealed more. Hidden in the asteroid field nearby were 6 more warships. Waiting. Watching. This was indeed a trap. The attackers had been expecting help to arrive. They had been expecting the Phoenix. And they had prepared. Jake opened a channel to the attacking forces. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Phoenix. You are attacking innocent civilians. Stand down immediately or face the consequences. A harsh voice responded. We have heard of you, Captain, and your pet monster. We do not fear you. We have weapons designed specifically to kill creatures like Krazoth. Surrender your ship and we will let the traitors go. Refuse and we destroy everyone. Jake felt Krazoth's presence in his mind. The creature was analyzing the situation. Calculating. They have quantum disruptors, Krazoth said. The same weapons the architects used. They will hurt me badly, but I can still fight. I can still protect the trade ships while you evacuate them. No, Jake said firmly. We do this together. Henry, target their weapons systems. Focus on disabling, not destroying. Sophie, find me a way to jam those quantum disruptors. Greg, tell those traitors to form up behind us. We are getting them out of here. What followed was the most intense battle the Phoenix crew had ever faced. The warships attacked from all sides. The quantum disruptors targeted Krazoth specifically. The ancient creature dodged and weaved, using its incredible speed and agility. But some shots hit. Each one caused pain that radiated through the mental link. But Krazoth did not retreat. Did not run. It stayed between the warships and the trade vessels, protecting them with its own body, taking hits meant for others, being the shield it had promised to be. Meanwhile, the Phoenix fought with precision. Henry's weapons took out enemy systems without destroying the ships. Sophie managed to create interference that weakened the quantum disruptors. And Greg coordinated the evacuation of the trade ships. It took 20 minutes. 20 minutes of chaos and danger. But when it was over, all 20 trade ships had escaped to safety. The warships were disabled but intact. Their crews alive. And Krazoth, though injured again, was still with them. Jake immediately ordered medical teams to prepare the cargo bay. But this time Krazoth's wounds were less severe. The creature had learned from the solar flare incident, had been more careful, had protected itself better while still protecting others. As Sophie treated Krazoth's injuries, Jake received messages from the trade ships. Gratitude, wonder, promises to tell everyone about the Phoenix and its guardian, about the human crew and the ancient being who chose to protect the weak. Later that night, Jake stood in the cargo bay. Krazoth rested there, healing. Its lights pulsed softly in the darkness. You keep getting hurt protecting others, Jake said quietly. Are you sure this is the life you want? You could leave. Go back to wandering. Be safe. Krazoth's mental voice was strong despite its injuries. Safe? I was safe for 3,000 years, Captain. I was also miserable. Now I am sometimes hurt, sometimes in danger, but I am happy. I am fulfilled. I am exactly where I want to be. With my family, doing what matters. Jake smiled through his tears. Good. Because we need you. Not because of your power, but because of who you are. Because you make us better. You remind us what we are fighting for. The crew gathered around. All of them. They stood in silence, keeping vigil over their wounded companion, their family member, their guardian, and Krazoth felt their presence, their love, their acceptance, and it knew beyond any doubt that it had made the right choice. 3,000 years of searching, 3,000 years of pain and loneliness, but it had all led to this moment, to this crew, to this purpose. The galaxy's strongest predator had bowed to a human not because it had to, but because it wanted to, because in that human and in his crew, Krazoth had found what it had lost so long ago. It had found home, It had found family. It had found peace. And that was worth more than all the power in the universe. That was worth everything. The Phoenix would continue its mission, exploring, helping, saving lives across the stars. And everywhere they went, they would carry the same message, the same hope, that anyone could change, that anyone could find redemption, that even the darkest past could lead to the brightest future. All it took was someone willing to look past the surface, someone brave enough to offer compassion instead of fear, someone like Captain Jake Morrison. And that simple act of kindness had changed everything. For Krasoth, for the crew, for the galaxy itself, that was the story. That was the answer. Why did the galaxy's strongest predator bow to a human? Because that human saw it not as a monster to be feared, but as a being worthy of love. And in the end, that made all the difference.